Kia ora ngā ma. On today's video, I'm going to be making the last in the trilogy of the fidget spinner series. And just to give you a bit of a clue what the materials I'm going to be making out of, that's what we're going to be using, and I'll show you a little bit more in a second. Okay, ngā hoa ma. On today's video, we're going to be making the last in the trilogy of a fidget spinner. So basically what I've done is I've gotten some ice cream lids, plain old ordinary New Zealand ice cream lids. These are tip-top ones. And so what I've done is I borrowed one of my students' fidget spinners. Can't remember who it was. I think it might have been, I won't say any names, but I can't remember. Anyway, so what I did is I drew around the outside shape of their fidget spinner and then onto a whole bunch of ice cream lids. And then what I've done now is I've cut them out. Now, made a whole bunch of them here. And this is an uncut one. Okay, so just ordinary ice cream lid. Okay, drew it on there, cut it out. And basically what I roughly wanted to do was make sure that they were at least the same thickness. So basically what we're going to be doing, and I've said basically quite a few times in this video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually laminate all of these little pieces of plastic together until they make one uniform object, okay? And you can see here it's roughly the same width, okay? And then using a rotary tool, I'm going to go around the outside, make it all nice and perfect and smooth, and then I'm going to put the hole in the center. Now I didn't want to do the hole in the center to start off with, just in case I mess the shaping up a little bit, and then it makes the whole thing off center because it won't spin very well. So that's what the procedure is going to be, and then what I'll do is the next step would be to laminate them. Today, I know this is a bit of a change, don't stress, I'm going to try hot glue instead of using my friend Sally's super glue. We'll see how that works. I'd rather use super glue, but at the moment I'm just going to try hot glue for something different. So like I said, I'll laminate these together, glue, stick, glue, stick, glue, stick, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some G-clamps, some small G-clamps to hold it all down tight so we get a nice bond. Okay, so stick around, that'll be the next part of the video. Okay guys, what you can see here is I'm going to use this rotary tool. This is a nice cheap rotary tool. It's not a name brand, it's not a Dremel or anything like that, because I don't use it often enough to warrant me having to get a Dremel. But this is quite a handy tool nonetheless. It has a whole bunch of different attachments that I've used for all kinds of things. I'll just show you this here. So I've used it to make this bracelet, etc, etc, etc. So what I've got this for is later on I'll be using it to round my edges and make it nice and smooth, but I want to scuff this first to make sure that I get a nice solid bond when I laminate these together using hot glue. So by scuffing it, the glue will have a better stick between each layer of my project. Okay, hope that makes sense. So you don't have to go through and bear the terrible noise that's going to be my rotary tool, I'll stop it here and I'll show you when I come back. So I've just scuffed all of my, you can kind of see how, when I move it in the light, you can see how, all I was going for is I'm not sanding like I've said, I'm scuffing them, which basically means just like scratching them up. And so when they join them together, they'll have a nice solid bond on them. Now I've got to make sure that when I do it, I line them up so that they join symmetrically as possible. That means it's less work for me to do later when I have to go around and sand them. Now what I didn't do is I didn't do the scuffing on the other side, is because it's got this paper label, and this label is quite rough anyway. I'm taking a bit of a risk by not doing that, but it just means I don't have to scuff the other side, and obviously I don't want to annoy people in the neighbouring room with my rotary tool making a horrible whiny sanding noise. So at the moment I'm just waiting for the hot glue gun to warm up. So already the end's getting a bit tacky, which is good. So once I've laminated a few together, I'll show you what I'm doing. All I really want to do though is I'm going to put like a thin bead around the edges and then compress it together and work the glue out so it's thinly and evenly spread so it holds it together. Now I'll come to it at the end, but if in the end I end up with like any flapping parts, I'll seal those up with super glue at the end. That way I'm not wasting a whole bunch of super glue. And super glue is not also going to go everywhere. It's much easier to clean up this hot glue off a metal surface than it would be to clean up super glue, because I'd have to use some kind of nail polish remover or acetone or something like that. Okay, so stand by. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing now. So I've lined all of my templates up, and basically I'm just squirting a glob in a triangular formation. The idea is to work fast, because as soon as that hot glue leaves the hot glue gun, it starts to set. I might have, oh, that's going to be close there. But you can see that I'm laminating the pieces together to making them thicker. Once I start shaping it, it'll look a bit better. I may even have to go the way of putting a bead around the outside just to make sure everything is nice and well sealed together. Okay, so I've glued them all together now, and there was a bit of a strategy to it. Now, I realized early on that I hadn't cut them all exactly the same, and you'll probably find that too, unless you're like laser vision or something like that. But I put the smallest one on the very top, and that'll be my guide to show me roughly what size I'm aiming for. And I put the fatter ones in the middle, and then the next skinniest one at the back. But you can see that these are all pancaked together now, so they're laminated together like a piece of plywood, except ice cream lids. And that's exactly what I'm going for, and it's the relative thickness of what the fidget spinner needs to be. So what I need to do now is I need to start shaping. So rather than showing you the whole process of me shaping, I'll show you how I'm going as I progress, if that makes sense. Okay, so all in all, this used roughly 1 stick of glue. So not bad. Okay, I was a bit generous with the glue too, so I'll probably find that there's a few bulges, and I'll have to go through and just make sure that they're sealed down and things like that, like I said I would. But as long as I shape them carefully, it should be fine. Okay, stick around. I'm just going to turn this off. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy with that now. Okay, it's got a nice shape to it. It probably needs a little bit more trimming, but I don't think I'll worry about it because it's only the prototype stage. If you're more fussy, you'd probably want to do a bit more to it, but I've gotten it relatively so it's the same shape. So you can see there it's pretty good shape for a homemade fidget spinner. Now what I need to do is center my bearing, and then once I've centered my bearing, I can put the hole in it, and we'll give it a test go. Already it feels like it's got a good weight to it. I know, it seems a bit silly, but it's got quite a good weight. So what I'm going to do is I'll drill a hole. Once I've done that, I'll get one of my tools on the rotary tool and just progressively make the hole a bit bigger until I've got a nice hole that is the right size for the bearing. So back again, just to show you where I'm up to. So I marked out my hole. I know that's a bit off center, but that's just to get myself started. And all I want to work out to, and I'm going to have to check it progressively, is I need to work out to the inside of that black hole. So I've got to be careful that I don't sand that off. And so this is a small head for my rotary tool. Okay, brand new sanding head on there. And so I'm just going to work that hole out, and then as I go, I'll be checking using my bearing just to see what the size is. Now, I want it to be a really, really snug fit. So to the point where I could stick it in there and I won't have to use glue. I'm going to stick in glue later, but for now I just want to make sure that it's snug. That's the objective here. So I don't want to try and stick it with glue. Not right now anyway, but yeah, snug. Snug is the word of the day. Okay guys, back again with this is the finished project. I've made a hell of a mess of my bench. I'm going to have to clean that up in a second. So here it is. There's the hole in the center. Now I've been testing it as I went along with my bearing. I found that when I put it in the first time just to test it, I found that I'd made it one layer too big. So that was an easy fix. I just peeled off the last layer of the ice cream container that I glued on there, and so I'll show you. It fits in there really nice and snugly. I probably don't, it's so snug that I probably don't even need to use glue in there. Just press it in there and it's a perfect fit, beautifully nice and flush, and it works. Okay? Now, as I've said before with the other ones, these are recycled bearings. It's not the fastest or greatest spinning one ever, but I made this out of ice cream containers. Okay? This is a free fidget spinner, essentially. Okay? So I do recommend this build. This is the one that I had on my idea from the very beginning. Probably the most fun to make. Actually, strangely, the easiest to make for some reason. Not as fiddly, but also a much better result, a much better product. There was an accident with the key one. One of my students was playing with it and dropped it on the floor and broke it by mistake. Total accident. Don't blame it at all. And it was only held together with super glue. This one is much sturdier. Okay, I can, that's not going to break anytime soon. So yeah, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like the things that I do on my channel, please hit subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook at Mr. Ashley's Place, or look for me bonkers.teacher on Facebook. And I'll see you around for another cool video at Mr. Ashley's Place. Ka kite anō.